Hi guys, welcome back to video 2. So in our last video we watched the clip up until the point where blue umbrella meets our new character red umbrella. It's that point, that exact moment we really want to focus on here, that meeting between these two characters, and we're looking for an adverb or an adverbial phrase that's going to really start our new paragraph off with a bang. So I gave you some ideas as I narrated over the video, so hopefully you can remember them. Grab yourself a piece of paper and a pencil and we'll get these written down, and same as normal, what you can do after we've done our writing on our piece of paper is type it up on the computer if you can. I know that's tricky for some of you finding the letters, but it's good practice, and then I'll be able to see later on how you've got on. Okay, so some adverbs or adverbial phrases to start our writing today. So I said suddenly, I said, what other ones, or what ones did you come up with? Perhaps you have your own. You might have liked in the blink of an eye. We like that one in class. You might have just simply liked the word quickly or all of a sudden. I'm going to write that one next to suddenly because it's quite similar. All of a sudden. Did you like as quick as a flash or in a heartbeat? I quite like that one. In a heartbeat. It's important to get at least 3 ideas down on this side, because then when you come to writing you can look back at your plan. There's me dropping my lid again. Look back at your plan and you have a choice. You might go to use your favourite one and think, oh no, do you know what? With what I want to write here, it doesn't quite fit. Okay, so other ones that we have, at that moment is another one that I liked. At that moment. As quick as a flash, in a heartbeat. I think I've got lots of ideas written there. So you pause the video and just get your favourite, like I said, favourite 3 written down, and then we'll move on to this side and we'll begin our paragraph today. Okay, so you're ready. We're choosing our favourite adverb or adverbial phrase that's going to start us off. So my one, I'm going to choose all of a sudden. All of a sudden. Now, can you remember the piece of punctuation that always follows an adverbial phrase? Is it a full stop? Is it an exclamation mark? Is it a question mark? Is it a comma? You should be thinking, Miss Palmer, it's a comma, of course. All of a sudden, comma. Now, we're talking about the moment that he first laid eyes on this red umbrella. All of a sudden, by his side was a red umbrella. All of a sudden, by his side. All of a sudden, by his side was a red umbrella. Okay, so all of a sudden, comma, got my adverb in there. I've chosen my one. Your one might say, out of nowhere, by his side appeared a red umbrella. You might choose to get these extra words, these extra detail in there. You might decide, Miss Palmer, red. I can come up with a better adjective than red. You might call her scarlet. You might call her a ruby red umbrella. You might say shining red umbrella, perhaps. You might choose to improve my sentence even further. And don't forget, guys, if you're someone who likes to deepen the moment in your writing, normally at school, you can do that there. And let's just remind ourselves of what deepening the moment is. Don't worry if it's not something that you normally do, but for those who do, you're giving more detail without changing what's happening in that sentence. You're staying in that moment and giving perhaps another sentence, perhaps another couple of words that just give extra to that very moment that we're writing about. So you're not going to suddenly say, and then the blue umbrella went dancing. No, you can't say that. That changes the story completely. But what you can do is give me more detail about the red umbrella. You can say a bit more about blue umbrella. Give me more. What was the weather doing at this time? Was he so fascinated by this red umbrella that he forgot that it was raining hard, or he stopped paying attention to the storm above? I don't know. It's up to you. Give me more information without changing the story. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, don't worry. It's not something that we've practiced before, and just ignore me. Okay, moving on to the next part. So, we're looking for a question. Now, if you remember yesterday, part of your task was to come up with some ideas as to how blue umbrella was feeling about the sudden appearance of red umbrella, what he thought he might say, what they might say to one another. So we're going to think about the inner thoughts of blue umbrella at this stage. We need to compile a list of question openers. I want to think about Blue asking himself a question. So what kind of words do we start questions with? I've just given you one. Which? How else? What other words do we open a question with? Can you think of any? Tell you what. See if you can pause the video and get 2 down of your own, and then come back and see which ones I came up with and see if they match. Okay, pause it now. Okay, did you do it? Right. Question openers. We're thinking which, why, how, when. Did you get any of those? Which, why, how, when. How about will? Notice in my planning side, I'm not worrying too much about my capital letters, but I will start to worry about my capital letters when it comes to actually writing my paragraph. Do, perhaps, do or does. Who are you, he might be thinking. Who? I'm just going to add one more, maybe where. Where did you come from? Okay, lots of question openers there. Then, the second part of this next sentence, we're going to think about a list of modal verbs. So, how do I explain this? Let me give you an example. So, we want to think about the inner thoughts of the blue umbrella, and he's thinking, should I do something? Could I do something? Modal verbs. So, should I? ... could I find the courage to speak to her? I don't know. Could is another modal verb. Could I? Let's see. Might I? Will I? Can I? Or may I would be better. May I? Will I? Might I? Might I ask your name? He might think. Should he introduce himself? We're thinking about what he's thinking about his next action towards this red umbrella. So, pause the video, just get your favourite couple of modal verbs down in your questions, make sure they're all there. You need at least 3, remember. Pause the video, and when you're ready you can play it, and we'll move on to this side. Okay. So, we need a question. The inner thoughts, maybe flick back to yesterday's task and think, what was I thinking the blue umbrella might be thinking at this point? I'm going to go question starter. I'm going to go with who. Who is this beautiful, there's an adjective I've got in there, beautiful red important piece of punctuation at the end of a question. What is it? Full stop? Not quite. Question mark. Well done you if you knew that. Okay, who is this beautiful umbrella? So imagining the first thing that pops into his head. Your question might be, where did this red umbrella come from? Question mark. Okay, it's up to you. Come up with a question. What is Blue thinking in his head? He's obviously, if you watch the video, he looks and he goes, oh, he's obviously surprised. So try and get that feeling of surprise and shock into his question. Who is this beautiful red umbrella? He's intrigued by her. It's not a negative thing. Make sure you're writing with positive intent. He's almost pleased. He's surprised. He's happily, oh, this is a nice surprise. It's a nice surprise for him. Then we're looking at a modal verb. He's thinking, oh, maybe, perhaps I should do something. Perhaps I should say something. So what's he thinking he should say? Should I introduce myself? He might, should I say hello? Shall I say hello? Will I embarrass myself if I say hello? There's another question here including a modal verb. Okay, so choose one of these and think about an action that Blue is too timid to take at this moment. He's trying to will himself to pluck up the courage to do what? Okay, it's up to you. I'm going to choose should I, and I'm thinking that Blue is wondering whether he should say hello and tell her what his name is, introduce himself. So, should I introduce myself? Introduce. No, what have I done wrong there? All of a sudden, by his side was a red umbrella. Who is this beautiful red umbrella? Should I introduce myself? Are we writing in the first person or are we writing in the third person? Remember, the first person is I, me, I did this. Third person is he, it, they. I'm writing in the third person. So, should it be should I introduce myself or should it be should he introduce himself? Should he introduce himself? Well done. Who is this beautiful umbrella? Should he introduce himself? Do you know what I'm thinking? I'm looking at this piece of writing, I'm thinking there's another piece of punctuation missing. Perhaps some inverted commas. Inverted commas to open this inner dialogue that he's having in his head. Some inverted commas here to begin the voice inside his head. Who is this beautiful red umbrella? Should he introduce himself? He's finished. Close the inverted commas after your punctuation, and perhaps we need to add a verb in here. He pondered to himself. That's a nice way of saying he was thinking. He thought to himself. He wondered to himself, perhaps. Who is this beautiful red umbrella? Should he introduce himself? Blue, we're calling him, wondered. I'm going to choose wondered to himself. Full stop. I've chosen to add that extra bit of detail in those inverted commas as I think it shows, it makes more sense. Okay, so I'm going to read it through all together. So far, all of a sudden, by his side was a red umbrella. Who is this beautiful red umbrella? Should he introduce himself? Blue wondered to himself. As to himself twice. Perhaps I could get rid of to himself and just write Blue wondered, full stop. Who is this beautiful red umbrella? Should he introduce himself? Blue wondered. I think that sounds better. So I'm going to get rid of to himself. Okay. Right, so let's just make sure. All of a sudden, there's my adverb. Tick. My questions. Well, there's one question here and there's another one. So I've got actually two questions. So I can give that one a tick. Okay. And moving on to the third and final part of our paragraph today, imperative verbs. So now we're really thinking about the inner thoughts. How do you think he was feeling in that moment when Red Umbrella appeared? They had ever so slight interaction, didn't they? How do you think Blue was feeling? So when I was watching the video, I don't know about you, I thought Blue seemed a little bit timid, a little bit shy, a little bit embarrassed. So I can imagine his inner monologue, his inner voice in his head was saying, oh, be cool, Blue, be calm, be chilled, okay? He's really trying to, he's encountered this beautiful girl, really, and he might be a bit like flustered, a bit like, oh. And in his head, he's thinking, no, be cool, be chilled, be fine about this, okay? Don't let your flustered feelings come out. So I want to get some of these ideas down of some of the things that he's saying to himself in his head. So let's go to green this time. Be cool, be clever, be charming, maybe. What's he saying to himself? You choose. Be what? He's trying to impress her, I think. Be cool. Be calm. Let's see. Be smart. Perhaps that's important to him. Be charming. What's he saying? Look handsome, perhaps. Look cute. Look shy. Look a certain way. Look cute. Look handsome. These are all things that he's saying to himself in his head. Look sophisticated, maybe. And then, how is he telling himself to act? Act confident, act smooth. We're trying to imagine that Blue wants to come across really well to this red umbrella that he's met. He's obviously intrigued by her. So, act calm, act collected. Act calm, collected. So many ideas for this part of our paragraph. So as I'm talking, you can write them down too. Perhaps act smooth, act confident. It's certainly not what we see from Blue, is it? We see he's a little bit shy, a little bit timid, but we're imagining his inner monologue, his inner voice, talking him through how to act in front of this lady. Act calm, act collected, act smooth, act confident. Gosh, this box is really full of ideas. I can't squeeze everything in. Okay. So you need a be cool or a be a certain way idea. You need a look a certain way idea. You need an act a certain way. You need at least 3 ideas in that box. And then we're coming over to this side here. So if you need to just pause for a moment, do that, finish off, and then play when you're ready to join me for this side. So I'm going to choose my favourite 3 things that I'm imagining Blue saying to himself in his head. I'm going to go with be cool. And I'm going to add an exclamation mark there. Be cool. You know, he's really emphasising that in his head. Be cool. Exclamation mark. Look. How does he want himself to look? Look handsome, perhaps. Another exclamation mark. And then act interesting, maybe. He's determined that he's going to be interesting to this red umbrella. Act interesting. Exclamation mark. And then, if you remember from watching the video, what happened? So they had this little encounter, they made eyes at each other. And then what happened to poor Blue? Car went past and, bless him, he blew inside out, didn't he? Do you think he was maybe a bit embarrassed after that? That's the kind of feeling I got. He was a bit like, oh gosh, I can't believe that just happened. He was trying to be cool, look handsome, be smart, look cute, and then woof, he was blown inside out. How embarrassing. So I'm going to write about that moment. So I'm going to write, as these thoughts flew by his brain, there was a sudden gust of wind and it whipped him inside out. Just adding that detail and telling that story from the video. So, as these thoughts flew through his mind, comma, quite a long sentence this one. The reason I've written flew through his mind was because I'm imagining he's a little bit nervous encountering this red umbrella. He's thinking, be cool, be handsome, be smart, be look cute, you know, he's a little bit panicked in the face of someone he's a little bit interested in. So, as these thoughts flew through his mind, they're flying through his mind, a sudden gust of wind, and then tell me what happened. A sudden whipped him inside out. Okay, full stop. I hope you can see that on the bottom there. It might be hard to see. So I'm just going to read it all through to you, and as I'm reading, I'm just going to check it makes sense. And I've remembered my punctuation. So, all of a sudden, by his side was a red umbrella. Who is this beautiful red umbrella? Should he introduce himself? Blue wondered. Be cool, look handsome, act interesting. As these thoughts flew through his head, or through his mind, a sudden gust of wind whipped him inside out. Are you going to deepen the moment there and tell me how that left Blue feeling? Perhaps you could give me a little bit of extra detail there at the end. So, your last couple of sentences, your green section, might be completely different. You might say, be smart, act charming, look beautiful. As these thoughts zoomed around Blue's brain, a sudden gust of wind or a huge whoosh of wind flew down the street and blew him inside out. Full stop. Okay, see how you can change these modelled sentences and really make them your own. You don't have to stick to word to word to word, but what you do have to do to make sure we're following the same story is make sure you're not changing the story. Okay? Do remember at points, if you can deepen the moment, even if you get to the end and you think, no, do you know what, I'm going to go back in, I'm going to add ruby red umbrella, I'm going to add extra detail here, there and everywhere. Do that. It makes your writing original. It makes it different. Okay? I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And yeah, check it out if you haven't already on our writing wall document and see who's up there, see if you can spot your name and your ideas. And we'll see who we can get up there today. Okay? Well done, everybody. Keep going. Your writing is amazing. Okay? Bye, guys.